Members of the Akwa Ibom State Chapter of the All Progressives Congress are up in arms against the resident Electoral Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mike Igini. The party wants the immediate removal of Mr. Igini. At the root of the crisis is the APC Congress elections conducted in October 2021 to elect party executives at state level under the leadership of former national chairman of the party, Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State. It was a successful Congress in Akwa Ibom State as executives emerged and were sworn into their positions. But by December 2021, things took a different turn as the Federal High Court in Abuja overturned the results of the election and declared a new set of individuals as the state executives. Sir Mike Igini insists that the results used in obtaining that court judgment were falsified and that INEC will stand by its original result. Showing on the screen right now soon are copies of the alleged original and falsified results provided to us by Mike Igini, who joins us now on Zoom. We'll certainly give, right, these are the copies obtained, and we'll certainly be talking about this shortly, and we'll get to see exactly, these are the results. We'll talk about this different result, two results from the same Congress, and then make you understand what the thing is. All right, we have at the top of the hour, right now, we have joining us Mike Igini, the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Igini, good morning. It's good to have you join us right now.
Yeah, good morning. So the entire TPC crew, Bros, Omashaye, and your colleagues over there, good morning, and to entire Nigerians for having me.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, now let's start it this way. It was on the news, youths in Akwa Ibom State of the All Progressives Congress, you know, in their numbers, came out to protest. And in some of their submission, they said that INEC was interfering in party activities. And in fact, some of the placards they carried, some of them said they didn't want you again as the electoral commissioner in INEC electoral commissioner in Akwa Ibom State. Now, make us understand why there is an issue between the APC and INEC in Akwa Ibom State.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Quite frankly, but for the reputation of the TVC nationally and internationally, I think this is a matter that we have already dealt with. But because out there are still people who have some level of doubt and lack of understanding, the reason why I am again accepted to have a few remarks on this subject matter. And I think that the background that you gave actually captured everything. Let me make one thing very clear, that under the Constitution of the Fatherland, Section 223, political parties are expected to manage their parties through a democratic process of electing executive members on a democratic basis. That's Section 223 of the Constitution. And the Independent National Electoral Commission, as a regulator of election in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, by virtue of Section 160, by virtue of the paragraph 15, to monitor the operations and organization of political parties. It is in pursuance of that when the APC, under the then Buni and the National Secretary of the party, the Caretaker Committee, in fact, flag off the process of constituting a state executive committee across the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Indeed, Akwa Ibom State was one of the states that had its successful Congress on the 16th of October, 2021, last year, at the Share Grace Arena. If you be kind enough, there's also a video recording of that event we have in our office, both in Uyo, in Abuja, where all who is who, the former minister of Niger Delta, the current ministerial designate is the Senator Ita Edna, Don Etiebet, just everybody that you can think of, you know, they were all present. But very quickly, prior to this exercise, the party members came told my office and requested to have the INEC template for the conduct of proper primaries. And we offered them to use that template. On that day, INEC team was there. The election was conducted. In fact, they spent the whole day. They slept in that very place. And after the exercise, Augustine Ekanem, I'm sure you could show to Nigeria the two specimens of results, the original and the forged that was used to secure a judgment. In the original, you will find that there were 10 aspirants or candidates. Number 4 scored 1,278. Number 10, which is the last person, scored 006. 006. Just like what Professor Ogban, who also in the Northwest, the same axis, we now have axis of electoral evil in different parts of the country. In Akwa Ibom here, we also have an axis of electoral manipulation. A professor who was convicted for 3 years. What they simply did, just as they did in 2019, was to drop down the figure 1 behind 1,227 and put it behind 006 to now read 1,006. With that, they played the first one on our commission, went to the commission, got our stamp as a certified copy, straight went to the Federal High Court. That on the basis of this score, that the man who came last, who scored 006, but now having 1,006, based on the forged document, is now the actual winner, that the court should declare on the basis of that result, which was forged. When the commission realized that a fundamental error had been made, he wrote a second letter you could read to Nigerians to see that it was written by Abuja, not Mike Igini, written in Abuja, to the effect that certification of any document, because document usually INEC is received different document, it is one thing. The content of that document, its validity is a different thing. This was essentially to invalidate what had been issued out. Now, very quickly, after that, the other people who were damnified by this issue were angry. But interestingly for Nigeria to know, which is the reason sometimes the commission is hesitant to want to take any decision with respect to either outcome of primaries or otherwise, that would rather leave them to go to court to deal with it. Can you imagine that the then caretaker committee chairman and the secretary respectively, they were upset by the outcome of the Federal High Court judgment over a primary they themselves conducted, and they went to the Court of Appeal. They sued in the name of the chairman, the governor himself, the then acting chairman of the national party, the secretary, in their official capacity, and also sued in the personal name of the Mr. Akwa Ibom there. So the matter went to the Court of Appeal. At the Court of Appeal, the judgment was delivered on the 17th of March. On the 18th, they responded quickly. That is the Buni caretaker committee. All right, they went to the Court of Appeal. At the Court of Appeal, they filed for stay and also asked for the status quo order to be maintained. In fact, they filed for a stay. So when they filed for a stay, the courts, as at the time they filed for, they were at the Court of Appeal, on the 7th or the 7th of April, the Court of Appeal now ordered, as at that time, the Stephen Untekwe, the Stephen Leo, who is number 10, was having a copy of judgment with him. A copy of judgment. He had not been sworn in, but what he had with him was a copy of judgment in his favor. In his favor. But at that time, the people who were duly elected on the 16th had already been in office, had been sworn in, and they have been performing the job. On the 7th, the court now said is granting, gave what they call maintain status quo, which means that you that have not been sworn in, but having a judgment in your favor, and you that also have been in charge, maintain status quo so that they can go into the merit of the matter. But what happened? Despite the courts granting, ordering that status quo to be maintained, the leadership of the party will now have a new leadership now under the current chairman and secretary. You know, Senator Adamu Abdullahi and the current secretary, Iola Omishore, also is former senator. They are now the new leadership of the party who inherited a case from their successor, all right, who instituted the matter. Now, when the court said maintain status quo, as I told you, party remain where you were before the dispute. You who have been in office, be there. You who is having a copy of judgment with you, but judgment when it remained there. Guess what? 4 days after the court order that maintain status quo, in violation of the court order, in contempt of the superior court in the land, the Court of Appeal, I am very sure that Senator Adamu Abdullahi and Senator Iola Omishore were not properly briefed. They went ahead and swore in the guy with that judgment of the Federal High Court on the 11th. On the 11th. On the 17th, when the court was to, they were to come back to the Court of Appeal, they have already taken an action to overreach the Court of Appeal. On that day, what did they do? The same people who came, whose predecessor brought the matter to court and all that, the current successor, they said they were withdrawing from the case. They were withdrawing from the, to put the carpet under the feet of their own members who went through a Congress on the 16th successfully. And you can show to Nigeria the video of the former minister, all of them were there. When they did that, or of course, Akwa Ibom, the former secretary, now said, look, on this process, apart from being sued in his capacity, in the official capacity, he was also joined in his personal name. The matter was now adjourned again. Meanwhile, the order to maintain status quo is in force. This was the period the Guba primary and the senatorial primary took place when the order to maintain status quo was in force. Now, by the time the matter came back, they said they were withdrawing. And effectively, they withdrew on the 31st of May. Meanwhile, Guba primary that did not take place, did not hold, as well as senatorial primary that had been concluded and one DIG Ekpeudom, a match on the 27th, had taken place under the prevailing court order to maintain status quo. It was after on the 31st of May, just last week, that having withdrawn, those who brought the matter having withdrawn, it meant in fact and indeed that we are now back to the Federal High Court judgment that was obtained through a forged, doctored, altered document, in which case, no matter how bad that judgment is, the commission now wrote on the 21st of June, just last week, that look, having regard to the fact that what is now left is the Federal High Court judgment, let us now revert back to that, which means that any dealing from on the 31st, now that the Court of Appeal is now somehow functions official, not because on the merit of the matter, but on the ground that those who brought the matter had withdrawn, we can now revert back. That is the letter they are parading ignorantly everywhere. Now, may I say this here? This is the genesis of their crisis. As at that on the 16th, in Akwa Ibom and several parts of the country, politicians want to have a faction. So they plan to have this problem, but I advise that they should settle themselves and they did the successful primary with a view to conducting their own private primary. That's why they prefer faction. This whole thing is not about INEC per se. It's not about my person, Mike Igini. It is about our democracy, the democracy that we fought for. All right? And I've often asked the question, when the journey of Nigeria and the prospect of democracy was less certain under the military, when some of us were being hounded, we are fighting for democracy. I was detained with Ebu Adeguruwa, senior advocate of Nigeria, Bamidele, late Bamidele Aturu. We were all detained in Enugu. Where are these characters who are making noise everywhere today when we were facing the military? We fought for democracy. We cannot destroy it. This is the genesis. Now, on primaries, as I ran
Mike,
all right.
Mike, that was a very good narration about the sequence of events that happened. Now, what is now the situation with these doctored figures from 006 to 1,000? Is that what they are going to now take to INEC? Is it the basis on which the party will now move forward?
Great. The Brosan, the document you are seeing there was the basis of the crisis. Now, once they now got a faction, not through election, but through courts. In fact, you know that the court even said INEC should give them certificate of return. Where have you seen INEC certificate of return for the election of party people? That it doesn't happen. The problem now for Nigeria to understand is that having had that faction in a primary election, it is not the state chapter of any party in Nigeria that conduct party primary for nomination of candidates. That is the job of the National Working Committee that will set up an electoral committee. That electoral committee will report to the state. The job of the ESCO is to give venue. Now, where they are trying to raise issue is that we were dealing with an ESCO that, according to their in their own view, erroneously is not the proper ESCO. And that's why I gave you the legal background. Because of that, they were now conducting primary in their homes. Under Section 84, subsection 1 of the 2022 Electoral Act, political parties intending to field candidate for an election shall, not my word, conduct party primaries. That shall, for the second time, not my word, but the oracle itself, the Electoral Act, shall be monitored by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The venue provided for the commission at the state level here was the one by the Augustine Ekanem-led party executive, not group, not faction, by virtue of the order of the courts to maintain status quo. That is, those who were already in office, in charge of the APC here, remain where you are. Those who already have a copy, just a copy of judgment, keep your copy of judgment, because there will not have been need for the Court of Appeal to ask for a stay if you were already sworn in. At that time, you were not sworn in. The problem now is that in this election, it is those party executives provided the Sheriff Grace Arena for the Guba election, Guba nomination process. We were there from morning till evening, as reported by even the TVC, with the Commissioner of Police, another security agent. They didn't show up. They were at the DSS custody because they were fighting themselves. Nigerians should know that this matter we are talking about, INEC don't print a single paper for primaries. It is produced by the party, by themselves, with their committee. The only job required by INEC under the law is to monitor and to put your report. In effect, 99% of the entire responsibility is that of the party. Ours is 1%.
Mr. Igini,
that 1%
Mr. Igini,
very
so that we can fill in many more questions for you. These are indeed very, very weighty revelations and indeed allegations, because you're also alleging that the primaries held in the homes of some, well, maybe powerful politicians. But is it not possible that some officials from INEC probably monitored this process that produced Akanu Dofia as the Guba candidate and Godswill Akwa Ibom? Isn't it possible that, I know we've heard of factions in political parties, but it does appear that we are also probably having another faction within INEC as well, who probably were there to monitor this particular process.
Good question. Beautiful question. Procedurally, INEC is one and remain one. Party primaries are conducted at the state level. The commission will send some junior staff or assistant director or lower cadre to come to the states. Once you are posted to the states, you must come with a letter of posting of deployment for a particular assignment. And the first office you must report to is the office of the commissioner, my office. You bring the letter, I will endorse it before you join the team of the state. At the state level, you have directors, the senior officers who are in charge. So the Abuja staff will now join the team to go and do monitoring. For governorship, the resident electoral commissioner is the one that is in charge, that will lead the team. For presidential convention, it is the chairman of the commission who may decide to delegate to any national commissioner. Just as myself, I can delegate to the administrative secretary or any head of management staff. With respect to the claim of INEC staff who monitored the primaries conducted in venues unknown to INEC, not monitored, they kept mentioning INEC. As of this moment, I have challenged them. Mention the name of one staff of INEC that monitored that was with them. They have not been able, they have failed woefully to mention just one. Just one. They cannot mention anyone because there was none that was with them. You see, they are in the old ways of doing things. You know, in Akwa Ibom, it's one of the states they don't do election before. They write result in Akwa Ibom state. I'm not telling you, we have the data. I've said it severally. So that question you are asking, ask them, have you, that's the challenge I've been calling our friends in the media. You know that your discipline is verification. As you carry out your credo or the people's right or no, could you ask them to measure one? They cannot measure anyone. But as you have seen from the report that I've sent to you, that is already sent to Abuja, the names of people who monitored the primaries, myself led the one of the governorship. For that of senatorial, for the Northwest, it was led by the HOD leader, Mark Chukwu. For Northeast, it was led by the head of operation, Mr. Ogene. For South, it was led by the head of the GAP, Mrs. Arit Esco. She's the one that led that team. It is anybody going anywhere must have a name official. They cannot mention that. With respect to the senatorial of Northwest, it is on record. It is shameful for our country. We are ridiculing this nation. We ridicule our system. We are telling the whole world that indeed is a permissive society. What are we discussing today? That's why it is for the respect I have for TVC that I'm sharing on this program. We are discussing forgery, and we are discussing, we are leaking sweet. It's like honey. What kind of country? A permissive society? How can you say that an event concluded on the 27th of May, report reading,
all right.
Report, no, let me make this point. Report reading of a central primary on the 27th, we woke up on this 10th of June to what they call breaking news. What was it with breaking news? That a certain person had won a primary last night on the 9th, which was the last day due to that extension. And the thing came to me as a surprise. And I said, people called me everywhere. Should I have kept quiet? Somebody is saying that the name of somebody who won an election should be removed, that we should destroy, we should withdraw all our report. You can buy some people, you cannot buy everybody. Is that what we are discussing in our national discourse every day, forgery, when they are supposed to be? Look, the IG of police, I'll forward to you last month a letter from the office of the IG requesting for the CTC of some of the documents that you already have shown on the television. This is where we are.
Yeah, Mr. Igini, the issue of forgery in the eyes of the law is a criminal offense.
Criminal offense.
And as it stands right now from, yes, but as it stands right now from your allegation, what is the way forward? What will happen right now with this case of issue of forgery that you have mentioned and falsification of a document? What's the way forward?
As I speak to you, the Nigerian police, they are on the matter. I mean, they have the statutory responsibility to prosecute, to investigate, and I'm aware that investigation have been concluded, all right, on the matter. This is not one case that INEC want to be involved in because, you know, that's a matter for legal affairs. You remember that a professor has been jailed for 3 years. Another was going to go for another 14 years because that's one INEC took responsibility. This result that they forged, it belongs to the party. But we were at the venue. INEC was at the venue when the successful committee led by Banki Yusuf came to Akwa Ibom. It is their affair. All we needed to do was to be there. And that is why I'm going to make this point very clear. There are two schools of thoughts. I belong to the first school of thought that, look, we cannot be micromanaging political parties. Let us not be in the arena of conflict. Whatever candidate that they present for election, INEC should take them so that INEC should not be involved in political party monitoring. But that is not the position of the law. The law says we should monitor. That has only been my argument.
Okay, Mike, what is the implication of this for APC in the next Guba election? Does it mean that they don't have a candidate?
Very clear. Bro Sam, the implication is very clear. Law, the rule of law is preferable to the rule of individuals, no matter how magnanimous. Our democracy must be anchored on the rule of law. So, when you fail to act in the way and manner prescribed by the law, whether that is a political act, it has legal consequences. And the legal consequences of that is that with respect to the Guba, there is no Guba candidate. And I must make this point clear here, that, and I will speak on the other one, with respect to Guba, no Guba primary conducted. Whether they accuse the commission, my person, which is very unfortunate for them, that I am biased. How am I biased? At the venue of the Shared Grace Arena, where you had the former secretary of their party, when we were there, they attempted to use our presence to want to do what they call it, accreditation of the delegate. They were all over the place there. And my attention was drawn to it. I said, you can never try that where I am. Oh, the other group of people, they are going to do the same thing. I said, whatever they do elsewhere, not monitored by INEC, could be a nullity. So it will be a different thing today, like the people of this country. If the commission, under my watch here in Akwa Ibom, has supported a Guba candidate from this group and rejected from the other group, both of them, these groups, they do not have candidate. And that is why, from what I've heard, the other man, Akwa Ibom, has moved to NNPP.
Yes.
So how am I biased
Mr.
here?
Igini, because
How is commission biased?
yeah, Mr. Igini, I need to put these questions to you because I understand we are indeed pressed for time. So there is also the argument that the courts have usurped the powers of INEC. In fact, that position and argument was buttressed again only yesterday by human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, who is saying that the involvement of courts in the electoral process has not been favorable to Nigeria's Nigeria's democracy, rather. I wonder if this is a position that you share. And just to add to that, with these threats by this group, do you fear for your life, Mr. Igini?
First and foremost, we must take responsibility for ourselves, our personal security, by doing what we need to do. But ultimately, life and God that can permit the taking of life. But the state has a duty and responsibility to protect those who are saying should be well with Nigeria, those who fight for a good cause for our country. It is for the federal government to protect all such persons. With respect to the question of the correct, profound view of the senior advocate Leonard Sik Falana, I agree with him wholly and absolutely that indeed we must be careful of what the retired Supreme Court Justice of England, Jonathan Sumption, referred to as the expanding empire of the courts in political matter in our country, which is clear indication of the failure of politics and trying to use law to take void. Today in our country, regrettably, painfully, political questions are being taken to court to answer. Who should be a candidate is being taken to court to answer. Who should participate as delegate? It is that the court they are taking it to. This is the failure of politics. And the warning of Jonathan Sumption is that the more political party politics face and people go to court, politicians will try to take control of the courts. And that when they take control of the courts, that will be a clear danger because the courts are not meant to answer political questions. Today, this is what is going on in our country. I just told you how the Federal High Court said INEC, despite having the report of what happened on the 16th of October, went to say that INEC should give certificate of return. It is dangerous. We have to be very careful. I must say this here. There must be a standard of behavior. We must have a national character. We do not have people who are morally, ethically challenged to find themselves in position of authority. You cannot have a blossoming democracy without having Democrats. Most of the people you see are wearing their carnival performance, wearing the costume of Democrat.
All right, Mr. Igini, we have to leave you here now. We must thank you so much, Mr. Mike Igini, the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner, for coming on the program and making clarifications on this issue that has been ongoing for some time. Of course, as we get along, we hope and look forward to normalcy returning to Akwa Ibom State as a whole. But we thank you so much for being on our program this morning. We'll keep a tab on developments again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike Igini.